Mic check, 1, 2. Let's get to it. Just kind of going over the trading day, February 20th, 2026. This is Ray Bolden. Two charts here. The first chart is uh, the 1 minute chart. Second chart, 5 minute chart. All right. Just kind of not financial advice, nothing like that. Just kind of walking through, what I'm looking at when I look at, when I start my trading day. Then I'm just going to go through Friday. Pretty volatile day. So I never trade within the first 15 minutes. So I do notice that it goes up here. Some people, you have, their own strategies. I tell people do your own thing. Go for what works for you. Um, and so if you got in here, it would have been great. I just don't mess around with that first 15 minutes. I let the market settle and then go from there. So I wouldn't even consider it until after the first 15 minutes. And it was up to this line here the first 15 minutes. So they give me an idea of a range, the bottom and the top of the first 15 minutes. Then, as you can see, it shot up. After the first 15 minutes, it just kind of bounced. I'm not looking nothing. I'm not looking at anything. Here, it is starting to move, but it's, still in my zone. And it jumped all of a sudden. That's in 1 minute. And very next minute, it started going down. So now this is at the top of a zone here, as you can see. It's the weekly pivot. This is resistance. I would have considered here, but this is at 9:03. So if I look over here on the 5 minute chart, that would have basically been in here. And as you can see, it completely dropped right back down within 5 minutes here. So if I'm looking at this, I'm not jumping into any trade here. Okay. Now I'm going to just move this down a little bit. Now it finally comes up to resistance again here. So this is actually the first red candle after underneath this zone, the resistance. So I would have started looking. And what is this? 10-10. Even though as you can see it went up a little bit, it still came right back down. And this is all within 5 minutes. So that's 10-10. So I'm gonna go over here. This is the 10-10 mark. So between 10-10 and 10-14. So this is actually the candle I would have jumped in. Now, as you can see, it came down and jumped right back up. Now, my stop loss would have been here. Probably about right there. Now, let's say you needed a win, like you've been on a losing streak. I would totally understood if you brought your stop loss up and eventually would have gotten out here. But me on the other hand, again, my stop loss being up here, I wouldn't consider raising my stop loss until it got to here again. And eventually, as you can see, it does. I got in here, it came down, would have had profit, then it would have turned around on me. But look at how it works. It didn't hit my stop loss, so my entry point was still here. It would have matched it here, and then it dropped all the way down here. So I'm gonna move this over on the 1 minute chart. This is when it comes down below my line here that I marked. So again, my stop loss would have been raised. I probably Another option would have been a trailing stop. I could have put a trailing stop at 10, and it would have continued to roll with me. And see, it went down to the weekly pivot before it turned around. So anyway, my stop loss would have ended up taking me out down here somewhere. That's a huge move, basically from here to here. Now, the beautiful thing about the SPY is that you can make it work for you in both directions. So I wouldn't even consider it again because, as you can see, it's within my zone. Basically, the chop zone is here. Then this is the gamble. So down here is the bottom of the chop, the top of the chop zone, above the 15-minute mark. So I would have started looking at this point. Even though, as you can see, we know it fluctuates, we get that. But right here, I would have considered it. So that's 11:35. See if I can move this over a little bit. Look at that go. So anyway, at 11:35 on the 5-minute chart is here. I most likely wouldn't have been most comfortable to here, where it's completely free of this. Now, because I'm aware it's getting close to the top of the gamble zone, but that was still a couple dollars away, or a dollar and a half away. So, and so that's a good enough jump. If you got a high delta, that's good money. But my stop loss wouldn't have been to about, it would have been underneath here, basically, which is how you should always think when you set in the stop loss. So it would have just done this thing, and notice it got all the way up here to 690. So getting in down here, and if your stop loss is correct, my first one wouldn't have hit to here. So I would have raised it here in profit, which is actually what I did. And then my next stop loss would have been up here. And then eventually it came on down and would have taken me out. So anyway, that was just a quick spitfire of the trading day. It continued to move for the rest of the day. Well, not too much more. That was pretty much the last trade for the day. All right, everyone, have a good one.